so long. In the meantime, I thank you for the reference. I'm going to read the whole chapter to see the context. Thank you for having me on your life.
All right, man.
No problem, man.
Peace out, bro.
Yeah, peace out.
Yeah, I got you, Shadow.
Finally, hello there. How are you?
What's up, man? I'm doing good.
First question I want to ask, is this going to be a respectful live where we're not going to speak over each other?
If you start saying some shit that you start getting me pissed off about, I'm going to go ahead and pretty much just do whatever I want to do.
All right, that's fine. So what I define God to be is like some abstract, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent entity. Do you have any disagreements with this?
Can you say that again? It was kind of fast.
I describe God to be like the Christian God, right? You're Christian?
No.
Where are you?
I'm living.
Living? Yeah, but do you believe in like the Christian God? You're using what's called verses from Christianity and the Bible.
I'm a living being, and I use whatever I want to describe whatever my intent is.
Sure. So I describe God, generally speaking, to be like a abstract entity. Is that fine with you?
Abstract entity. Can you define that more?
Someone who's like aspatial, atemporal, like such as El God is. There was even like a study within I think 1998 to like substantiate why he is God by like what was it? Here, Fordham University that made a study on it to substantiate why he is a abstract entity.
You're gonna have to break that a little bit more down for me, so I can completely know your angle here.
Aspatial just means something that is like not spatial and not temporal. He's aspatial and atemporal. That's what abstract means. So aspatial means you don't have any spatial axes, no spatial coordinates. Atemporal means that you're atemporal. It's the same thing with aspatial but temporal.
No spatial coordinates.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit? No spatial.
He doesn't exist within space. He doesn't exist within space-time. I believe he exists on some type of like higher realm.
So would you consider that being metaphysical also?
Metaphysical, I'm not too diverse on metaphysics, so I can't really give like a definitive answer on that.
Okay, so that's your basic understanding, right? That's your understanding of that.
Pretty much.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Do you have any disagreements with my definition of what God is?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Okay, so what are your disagreements?
About you saying that he has no spatial, God has no spatial coordinates.
So why do you disagree with this?
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Yeah, why?
Because I'm sitting right here and I have spatial coordinates.
Yeah, that's kind of a question bag. What's under question right now is whether or not like God exists, like we are all God, right? So you asserting that we are all God to support like a argument for us all being God isn't really like what's called going to attack the argument because it's inherently tautological and circular.
Okay,
like what you said with the other dude, it's logical fallacy. Or fallacy.
What part?
You're using like that God is all of us, which is what is under question to support God being all of us.
Okay, so that's a logical fallacy by me saying God is all of us.
You saying God is all of us to support God being all of us. That's like me saying 1 + 1 is 3 because 1 + 1 is 3.
Okay, so how is it a logical fallacy by me saying that God is all of us because I'm saying I am God?
Yeah, because what is under question, I'll explain this again. So do you know what like a modus ponens is?
No.
So I'll just explain to you in like simple terms. It's premise 1 or proposition 1, premise 2, and then a conclusion derived from premise 1 or proposition 1 and premise 2.
Okay, so you're coming with theology and all these different terms.
This isn't really theology.
You're gonna have to speak a little bit for a person who didn't go to your same school. Okay?
Yeah, I didn't learn this in school, but that doesn't really.
I didn't go to your same school, so you got to break it down a little bit.
So, do you know what propositional logic is?
Proposition of logic.
Propositional logic.
Explain it.
It's a logic that involves like propositions. I suggest you learn it because it's like one of the main like what's called. It's one of the huge points within debating.
Okay.
So it's literally just the logic behind propositions, right? So do you know what a premise is?
What a premise is, what I'm standing on, my point, my main point.
It's something that like what's called you could derive your conclusion from. So I'll just give a like example. P1 carrots taste like chicken. P2 I like chicken. Conclusion I like carrots.
Okay.
So that's basically what is. So what you were doing is you're saying P1 God is all of us. Conclusion God is all of us. Do you know what circular is?
What is
Like going circular within a dialectic.
So it's going in a circle.
It's basically like you're trying to use a brick to support the brick.
Okay. All right. Look, what's your point here, bro?
My point is that your disagreement isn't attacking my definition, and you're just disagreeing for no reason.
No, you're saying that God, your understanding of God is that God is not spatial, right? Doesn't have any spatial coordinates.
I give my reasoning for this.
That's your understanding.
Yeah, I give my reasoning as to why it was true. I gave. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
My understanding of God is that God does have spatial coordinates also.
Yeah, so we have two contradicting definitions of what God is, right? And now I gave my reasoning as to like why my definition is true. I gave a like source that like substantiates why it is the case, right?
Okay.
And you haven't given like any like reasoning as to why yours is true. So obviously mine would hold more value as there's a reasoning as to why mine is true.
All right. So let me ask you a question then, so I can get a better understanding. What is God?
What is
your understanding? What
I already defined him and gave like what I believe him to be.
I heard some qualities, so it's just can you say it one more time for me?
I believe God is a entity who is abstract and aspatial and atemporal.
Okay, an abstract entity that is non-spatial or some shit that you said, temporal or whatever like that.
Non-temporal.
Okay. What I believe God is living energy, bro.
So I know that you believe this, but you didn't give any.
That's what I know God is. Living energy.
I know you believe that to be the case. However, within a dialectic or a debate, you would have to give like reasoning as to why your stance is true. Like if I were to like come into this debate and say 1 + 1 is 3, I would have to give reasoning as to why that is the case. Do you know what not Occam's razor, but rather Hitchens' razor is?
Nah.
Hitchens' razor basically dictates that if a proposition is like asserted with no evidence or reasoning behind it, then the proposition itself can just be like dismissed without like evidence or reasoning.
All right. My reasoning for believing that and knowing this is that at the source of our existence, we are all energy.
Okay, how does this substantiate your claim? Like, how does this?
A living power. God is a living being.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question. Why does like all of us being like energy substantiate that God is energy?
Because what we know of energy is that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. That is our source. That is what makes us up.
Yeah, our source can just be the Big Bang. We all originate from the Big Bang, and
you can say whatever you want about Big Bang, bro. But what I'm telling you is we are energy at the source, bro. And it's everywhere. And it's always present.
yeah, energy has always been a thing since like the beginning of the universe, even since before the Big Bang.
Exactly.
Do you understand this? Yeah. That can just be something that like has existed inherently that goes along with like spatial coordinates and things like that, right? That doesn't substantiate that God was the one who made energy or is like the original source of energy, which is something that you'd have to substantiate.
So you're once again with your teaching and your understanding. The only reason I use this word right there is because just to draw people in. Well, what my definition of what I say God is living power, a living energy. It is a living being. That's what God is, bro.
Yeah, that's like what your definition of what God is. However, like you'd have to give reasoning as to why that is the actual definition of what God is. You have yet to do that. What's it called? Are your arguments having non sequiturs and haven't the all your arguments haven't really like what's it called had any like relevancy, not relevancy, but led you to the conclusion that God actually is energy.
What so if energy can't be destroyed nor created, right? And energy is the motion that moves our atoms, these wave particles. It's a conscious thing that causes these cells to either,
Wait.
What I'm saying, take in or leave out certain particles from within the cell, the blood. I mean, we could break it down, bro. Like,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not a conscious thing, firstly. There's like, why do you believe it's conscious? I'm confused
I
here.
mean, I spoke to another person today who was very intelligent. He said it's intelligent energy.
Okay,
How does
if
something become intelligent if it doesn't have any conscious?
okay, so let me ask you this. If I were to say that like 1 + 1 is 3, does that mean 1 + 1 is 3?
It could be 3 for me if I felt like it. On a subjective level, it's called subjective truth.
Yeah, there's subjective truth. How I'm talking about like what would exist outside of our like minds. What do you define objective to be?
I'll give you an example.
I'm just asking for a definition, not like an example.
Fact.
Is it fact? I mean,
based on proof.
Kind of. However, that's not like always going to be the case. It can be like different things. But so you are aware that there can be objective aspects to like subjective things.
There can be what?
Are you aware that there can be objective aspects to subjective things?
Yeah, there can be it. Yeah.
Yeah, such as like if I think that like someone in chat is weird, right? Is objectively the case that is my opinion. However, that isn't something that is objective. Right, but why define objective to be? Because it's all just like kind of red herring. But why define objective to be is something that exists like mind independently, right? This means that it doesn't exist within our mind.
You said it doesn't exist within our mind, being objective?
No. How we perceive objective things is within our mind. However, objective itself is not within our mind. Who in the chat is weird? I'm not saying anyone in the chat is weird. That was just like an example. The first thing I could think off my head. But what was the argument we were arguing? Yeah, no, that can't be like that can be subjectively the case. However, what I'm talking about are like things that are like objectively true, right? Things that are going to be mind independently true. When I say 1 + 1 = 3, that isn't going to be mind independently true. That's going to be mind independently false.
Yeah. Look, man, and it's funny. I like seeing when the chat be agreeing with me. Like Markel, right? They said everything that can be said about God can be said about energy. Cause it's true, bro. You're just making an argument, and it's understandable. You're an atheist?
I'm a deist. I'm not atheist.
You're a theist. Okay.
No, deist, not theist.
What is a deist? Oh,
Deist
for me.
Deist basically means I believe in some form of higher power. Basically a skeptical stance on like the belief whether something is real or not.
Okay. Well, look, man, I'm not changing what I believe in, bro, and what I know, because for me that settles it right there. At the very, very source, we are energy, bro. We are energy in motion, and we are eternal, being that energy in motion.
So I have a question. I'm a bit confused here. Do you think that 1 is 2?
1 + 1 is 2?
No, do you think 1 is 2? The number 1 is at 2?
No.
No, okay, so if a part of something is not like the whole thing, why is like us being a part of energy, us being the same as like all of energy?
It's all one, bro. It's all
It's
one.
the yeah,
All
the
one.
like
It's all
value
part
of
one
energy
thing.
can be one. However, we're all occupying like not occupying, but taking like a specific amount of that energy. Let me put this into an example for you. Let's say the value of energy is 1 million, right? And now I'm one of that million. Right? So I am now not that million. I'm not energy itself. However, I am a part of energy, but I'm not energy itself. Being a
Wait.
part of something doesn't mean that you're are the thing you're a part of.
Okay, so you're saying being a part of something means that you're not part of it? That you're
No,
not
that means
it?
that you're not it. Being a
You're
part of
not
something means
it.
that you're not it. Yeah, based off of
Okay,
like
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Are you your blood?
Am I my blood? No, my blood is a part of me.
So you are not your blood.
No, I'm not my skin. I'm not my cells. I'm not my. I'm not my brain. It's all one. It's all like things that add up to one another that like support what I am.
Oh, okay. So would you say that your blood and your cells and everything come together to make you?
Sure.
So how are you not it?
How am I not it? Okay,
Yeah,
so
because
if
if those things make you, then how are you not it?
based upon the thing that we agreed upon just like a couple seconds ago within this dialectic, if one is a part of two, because 1 + 1 = 2, one is still not two, even though it is a part of two, right? We already agreed upon this. Just because something makes up something doesn't mean that is that something that makes up.
Okay. So look, this is what I'm gonna do right now. Okay. And look, I'm gonna go back to talking to y'all individually, but I'm gonna make a special exception right now because I got a friend that's on here. I'm gonna let her come and talk and dialogue with you. All right.
All right. Mm-hmm. Hello, Sage. How you doing?
Yo, I'm so happy right now.
What's
It has
up,
been
Sheree?
too long.
No, I know.
How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's good to see you,
I'm doing
fam.
amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
How
I
are
like
you?
it. I'm good. I'm good, yeah. Yeah,
That's
just
good.
got
Good
home a
to
little
hear
bit
your
ago
lovely
doing
voice
some
again.
stuff. Huh?
Good to hear your lovely voice again.
Yeah, yours too. I saw you and I was like, oh shit, I haven't seen this guy in a hot second. Like, where
No,
you been
no.
at?
So, yeah,
So
go ahead. You can, I'll
yeah,
let you,
I
let you
came
talk
up here,
along.
Shadow. I guess I'm kind of curious to know, like, what are your beliefs? Like, where do you stand? Like, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a deist, which means that I believe there is some form of higher power, whether it's like spiritual or like some form of God.
Okay. So, like, what would you define God as? How would you define God?
I would define God as someone who, some entity who is like abstract, someone who's omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient.
So, what does omnipotent mean to you?
Omnipotent means that you can do anything within totality.
You can do anything.
Yes.
So, would you say that, like, your power is infinite?
Your power would, yes, be infinite, otherwise I would contradict you being omnipotent.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, do you understand what infinite is?
Yeah, what do you mean by infinite? Do you mean accountable infinity or like uncountable infinity?
What's the definition of infinite to you? What is infinite?
There's two different forms of infinite. There's uncountable infinity and like accountable infinity.
Okay, so I'm talking about the infinite that is there's no limit.
There's no limit, so you're talking about uncountable infinity. Uncountable, yeah, it just says you describe something without limit.
Okay, and so is that how you would describe God?
I would describe to him as someone who is infinite. Yeah, he's eternal.
Okay. Yeah, so if something is infinite, can you add to it?
Oh, no, you can't really add to something infinite. That kind of contradicts it being infinite.
Yeah.
Actually, you can add to it, but it's not going to have any like value added.
How do you add to something that's infinite?
So if there's a infinite thing and I place an apple on top of it, right, I'm still going to be adding something to that thing, but there's not going to be any value within the apple compared to the thing.
But if it's already infinite, that means that the limit doesn't exist, which means that everything within existence would already exist within the infinite, would it not?
No. Do you understand dimensionality?
To a certain level. Go ahead, talk to me.
So basically, you are aware that we're all infinite on a two-dimensional level.
Say it one more time.
We are all infinite on a two-dimensional level.
We are all infinite on a two-dimensional level. Okay. Go ahead and
Yes.
explain more.
So basically, what a spatial like axis is, it's gonna be like an uncountable infinity. There are three uncountable infinities that make up like three layers of infinity, what most scientists call them. They have their own like separate like words for them, but it's just generally called it's called layers of infinity. So dimensions are just built up of layers of infinity. So something on a higher layer of infinity will have like is infinite compared to something that is like on a lower dimensional axis.
Okay. So then I'd be interested to learn about that. I've never heard that terminology, and I hang out with a bunch of spiritual scientists.
Yeah, I think I can get you an Oxford site on it you can study on.
Yeah, I'd be curious to look at that information. But so then the next question I have for you is, can you take away from infinity?
No.
Okay. So
Well, if you were to take an infinite amount away from infinity, then you would be able to take away infinity. What?
well, and that's the thing. Like, if you were to take something away from infinity, then it wouldn't be infinity, right?
If you're able to take it, yeah, if you're able to take infinity away from infinity, then it's not infinity anymore.
No, if you were to take one single particle from infinity, would it be infinity?
No. Oh, and yes, sorry. Yes, I thought you were asking me something else. My bad.
So how would it stay infinite if it didn't have everything?
So I'll describe it as this. So a countable infinity is something that's smaller than infinity. It has a limit upon it, right? A countable infinity is something that is like just constantly growing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you take away 1 away from that, then it's just going to go back down to 4 and then back up to 5, then 6, 7, 8. It's always going to continue growing, right? So now something like a countable infinity will be larger than this, right? So taking away 1 from this thing, just how it won't make a difference to a countable infinity. It won't make a difference to like
shut
an
up. Do
larger.
me a favor. Hey, slow down a little bit.
Oh, sorry, I'm used to Discord debating.
You're just throwing things at me, and I'm trying to understand you. So slow down a little bit. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm used to Discord debating. Discord debating
No.
goes a lot more fast paced.
No, you're good. That's you're not there. You're not there, Sam.
Hey, my cat's trying to attack me right now. Hey,
Yeah.
buddy. So basically, a countable infinity is something that is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just continuously growing, right? It's still a finite thing, but it's just going on. It's called infinitely, right? Infinitely is used to describe something that is a countable infinity. But if you like minus 1 from that thing and change it back down to 4, it'll just go to 5, then 6, and 7. It's not going to make any real difference to the actual like countable infinity itself, right?
I've never heard the term countable infinity, to be honest with you. And I joke you not, on a daily basis. I sit in a room with a bunch of philosophical people and scientists, people who, study and have done work for big companies. That being said, the terminology that you're using is something I've never heard. So it's very interesting to me. And the point that I'm getting at here, because initially both of your responses were that like, no, you can't add to infinity, and no, you can't take away from infinity, right? Because if something is infinite, there's nothing to add or take away because it already is, right?
You can add to infinity, but it's not going to have any like value. It's not going to add any more value to infinity. Okay. I was explaining this earlier.
Okay. All right. So, like, what? Let me ask you a question. So you wouldn't say that you are God?
No, I wouldn't say that I'm God. I don't believe God is energy.
Okay. And what are you?
What am I? I am a form of energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a form of energy.
Yeah.
A form of energy. Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't understand that, like, what's it called? There's gonna be different types of energy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously I'm gonna be a form of energy.
Different in it's different in nature, equal in degree, right? Or no, sorry, different in degree, equal in nature. I forget. Fuck.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
Yeah. So
Form 2 of energy.
yeah, well, and that's the thing is like, you know, it's not to say like I think that there's this like bias of like how people see the word God. It's like like whenever I hear the word God, it's like this thought process of like God is this like I don't know creature on a statue sitting up above everybody. It's like this understanding of something that we try to make human when it's not human. It just simply is. It's energy, it's life, it's everything around us. But would you say that when I do something that it would affect you?
What do you mean do something?
When I do anything in this universe, when anybody does anything here, do you think it affects the people around us?
I don't think it would, like, in a vacuum, no. People around us, yes.
You know what the butterfly effect is?
In a vacuum, it wouldn't affect me, like, if there's no context to what happened. I don't understand what butterfly effect is, however...
Are we in a vacuum?
Do you know what a vacuum is? Like,
No,
in this
not yet.
context?
Talk to me about
A
it.
vacuum would be just like there's no context behind anything. Like there's like no context to this example you're giving, so I can't really like make an example with any like context, or sorry, answer it as if it did have context.
Okay. Okay. Well. All right. Listen, I'm not in the business of trying to convince people things that they don't want to be convinced of, you know? Like, it's not my job. But I did come up here to have a conversation with you. And the reality of it is that when you do think about an infinite, if something is infinite, I really can't take away from it or add to it. And I've had this conversation with some very well-versed people and learned from some very well-versed people. And you can't add or take away from it. All you can do is observe. That's what the universe is made of zeros and ones. You can't separate yourself. And so you are a part of the infinite everything, whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, whether you think it's God or you just see it as energy. You're a part of it. You're interacting with it daily.
That's right.
Everything you do has a ripple effect on the people in your lives, and those people have a ripple effect. And everything that we do within nature has a ripple effect within our own personal lives. You think, what happens if all the bees die? What happens then? Or what, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I understand what you mean. However, I believe what you're arguing is a non sequitur. So you know what non sequitur is or no?
no, go ahead and enlighten me.
That just means that your propositions or your premises don't like lead to your conclusion. But yeah, I think the bees dying comparing to your like original question about you doing something will it's called change me is just analogous as like bees have one of the like most major like effects on our ecosystem and things like that. So obviously their like death would like change our ecosystem drastically and cause like immense differences. However, if you were to like sneeze right now, I don't know how that would like affect me.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, it is vibration. Vibration has a ripple effect. So I mean, I get what you're saying though. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
So then my question is, when coming to these conversations, what's like your reasoning for it? Is it just like,
Well, my reasoning, I would have to like listen to, I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry. Your reasoning.
I'm Ice Age My Sage, but you can call me Gabrielle.
No, I'm talking about the dude hosting.
Oh, okay.
Yeshaya.
Yeshaya. All right. I would have to listen to his reasoning as like proving, what's called, like we aren't God is a negative claim, or sorry, a negative stance, and you can't really substantiate a negative stance. You're more on the defense than the what's called offense.
So you came here to argue.
Yeah, I came here to like defend the fact that we're not God.
Well, I mean, this I don't mind that. That's the whole reason I put it up here, to get anybody who wants to disagree. It doesn't matter. But the thing about it is he's so stuck in his way of debating or whatever he's been taught. He can't see the simpleness of the matter.
Yeah. I mean,
So high-minded that he can't see the simpleness of it.
Listen, and I think I've come to like this enlightenment that like that's fine. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh, okay. And I have these the people I like to have these conversations with are people who are searching like for something deeper. And I do genuinely believe, would you not say that if we were all spiritually open-minded and interconnected, that we would have a different world than we live in right now? Like if we spent our time being that way.
Oh, definitely. Because if I think that was the case, then I think there would be a lot less wars going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think that's the whole point. Yeshua wants to enlighten us on here is that we're connected. We are connected and we're all making these decisions and we're creating the world around us and we're united. And so there's nothing that separates me from you. If I don't care about you, then I'm not caring about myself. If I'm not treating you with love and kindness, then I'm not doing that for myself. Right? And so, and it's just there's the sense there that it's I'm not here to argue with anybody. I really don't care. I don't. And I used to love it. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Taurus all day long. I won't back down. But at the same time, so I think the whole idea here is just to get you to open your eyes on how you're connected to everybody here, not only in this room, but outside of this room as well. Right. And I think that's something that our world is really genuinely missing. So whether we want to call it God or not, there's this idea here that I'm not separate from you and you're not separate from me. And that your best interest is my best interest. We're only as strong as our weakest link. And I think that's really where this stands. And that's where me and him really connected initially. And our friendship was hey, we know we're interconnected and there's nothing that separates me from you. And we have this desire to bring that out into the world and let people know that,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think with a theist viewpoint, I'm assuming that there's a similar mindset behind it.
Most definitely.
Right? Is it not unity?
I don't believe we're all connected on a spiritual level.
You don't.
No,
Separation.
What, sorry?
So what do you think separation is doing for our world right now?
This separation is something negative, yeah. It's having negative impacts on the world.
So
well, what do you mean by separation?
I mean, me being separate from you.
I don't think that would have any negative impacts if we are connecting on live. I don't think that would have any negative or positive impacts.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, Sage, I'm going to see who else wants to actually kind of talk to him one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And see.
I'll pop down.
Yeah, and I'll get everybody. So I'll get everybody who wants to talk to Shadow. Do you mind, Shadow, talking to?
Well, I'm getting off.
You getting off? Okay.
Yeah.
So Sage, if you want to stay up and talk to someone else, I'm gonna have